Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about a company called YRC Freight. YRC is one of the largest LTL transport companies in the United States. LTL stands for less than truckload. So the business of the company is to pick up small shipments from the shipper, whoever they may be. It could be Toyota, it could be the Department of Defense. They have a lot of contracts. What they do is they bring those small shipments into one of their warehouses, of which they have almost 350 in the United States, Canada, and Mexico at this point. They bring it to the warehouse, they consolidate the freight that goes to similar regions, which basically some of them go to Canada, some of them go across the country, some go to a different state. It doesn't really matter. The problem with the company, which you would notice looking at the chart of the stock, is that it's one of the three remaining companies in the transportation industry today that still has an employer's workers union. And they're part of Teamsters Union. And back in the day, they used to have a law called a multi-employer pension plan. So when a bunch of companies back in the day, it was hundreds of companies, came up with this multi-employer pension plan, all the companies that were in the plan would have to cover the pension obligations of the companies and the employees that went under. So let's say there were 300 companies, one of them went under, went bankrupt or whatever, got liquidated, doesn't matter. The other 299 would be responsible for the pension obligations for the employees of that company. Sounds good for the employees, sounds good for the people that work there. The management is not included, the management is not unionized, so it doesn't include them. So a couple of years went by, tens of years went by, and now only three companies remain out of what used to be about 300, 400, 500. I don't remember exactly how many hundreds there were. So now only three companies now have to cover pension benefits for the people that used to work in 300 companies. There were some adjustments in the legislation, and the way that I see it, it's more like a soft obligation, although the management says that it's a hard obligation and they actually would have to pay out those pension obligations if, push came to shove. But at the point right now, they're not paying for other employers' pension obligations as we speak. Every 5 years or so, the company has to ratify the employment plan with the pension, with the labor's union. And every time, of course, they have to make some adjustments. Sometimes they have to raise the wages. And let's say after 2008, the financial crisis, the company was in a really bad state. Right after they purchased a huge regional a carrier, I don't remember, it was Redaway or Holland, to be on our new pen. They were in pretty bad state. They had a lot of debt, and obviously they couldn't cover that debt. So what the Teamsters Union did is they allowed them to lower wages to the point where the company could survive, could do something with their debt, could continue going. I mean, it does have almost 20,000 employees that are part of a Teamsters employer union. So it makes sense for the Teamsters to give them some leeway in order to save all of those jobs. So earlier in 2019, the company ratified the 5-year agreement. And for the first time in many, many years, what they had to do is, well, of course, they had to raise hourly wages. They had to raise them by about $1 every year for everybody who's an hourly pay and who's part of the Teamsters. Not all employees in the company are unionized. They had to raise it by $1 an hour. But this is the good part, and this is why I think we should invest in the company now. This ratification of the employer agreement allowed the company to significantly optimize its operations. So since it has 5 divisions, what the previous employers' agreement stated that, let's say there's YRC Freight, there's Redaway, there's New Penn, there's Holland. And let's say we're in New York City and we got a shipment, and the shipment belongs to, let's say, Holland. Doesn't matter, either one of them. It would have to be picked up by a Holland driver, taken to the Holland terminal, consolidated there, and then shipped via a logistics company or any other way. Now what can happen is that any division of YRC Holding, of YRC Worldwide, can pick up the shipment, can bring it to their warehouse. So now you don't have to have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different terminals that belong to different divisions of the company in the same city or around the same city. So this is a huge plus. The company is doing a great job optimizing the terminals. They've already moved some management of one of the, of New Pen into the YRC, so they're getting rid of some upper management that you don't need once you consolidate all the operations. So I think the company is going to win huge on this ratification of the employment. They had refinanced their debt recently, 600 million, 1% less in payments every year, and they changed the covenant from having 2.5 times enterprise value to EBITDA. Now they have to have long-term debt to EBITDA. Now they have to remain at least 200 million last 12 months EBITDA when they report their earnings in order for the covenant not to work and for them not to have to pay out the loan. And they came to 211 in the last 12 months, so they have very little room for error here. But I talked to the management and they said, hey, listen, one of the lenders, Jamie Pearson, the returning CFO who came back, who has helped the company turn around back from 2008 crisis back in 2011 and 12. He came back, he said that obviously our lender is not in the business of bankrupting transport companies. He's not going to get much out of it if he wants to bankrupt it and, say the loan has to be paid out as soon as possible. They're in the business of lending money. So I think if push came to shove and EBITDA came below 200 million, I'm sure that they could have a conversation and decide on the new terms or maybe something temporary. So I think now when the company is trading at 65 million in market cap while having almost $5 billion in revenue, having over $200 million in last 12 months EBITDA, I think it's a great opportunity to invest into the company and make maybe 10 times your investment in a couple of years.